Did you do any prep with them?
I mean, we spoke a little bit, but it was the reality is that navigating these things is a combination of like its experience and I don't want to say something as gay as charisma, but it's like this is like a very much a practiced conversational navigation thing that it like has to be learned and practiced and done. Like you're not gonna read a guidebook on how to go into like a fresh and fit room when half the girls there are turned against you. You're already massive outsiders, and one host is seemingly indifferent, doesn't like you, and the other host is like master conversationalist / debater who also runs the show. Like that's just a really tough environment for anybody to be put into.
Hey Dusty, how's it going?
Hey, pretty good. How you guys doing?
It's going good. Are you streaming or are you just wrapping up?
Well, both. What's up?
I was just curious what your thoughts were on the panel that the girls were on.
I mean, it was a panel.
Man, I even said, do you want to chat about it publicly? And then you give me this.
Well, what kind of answers are you looking for?
I'm just curious about your general thoughts, overall like performance. Here's a better question. So one thing I've noticed that you're very good at is you're good at like walking people towards your own conclusions in a way that they agree with you every single step until they're basically forced to agree with your conclusion. Which I think is a lot about getting in people's world, but you're obviously like, how do you go about doing that? Because you do this with these guys a lot that I think Erin and Pxie were really struggling to do, which is like to get into their world and like pull them towards their conclusions.
Yeah, there's a couple things. So I don't know if you've ever seen my stream where I'm on these panels and people are usually screaming at me like people are always screaming at me like push back, push back, push back, push back, push back, push back. That's what this looks like. I know that people get upset at me for being soft sometimes, but I think it's really important to spend a lot of time building a lot of rapport and showing a lot of empathy and understanding for the other person's viewpoint so that when you start to make suggestions, it's coming from a place that appears to be compassionate, from a person that you think you can trust, rather than from like an alien invader, you know?
Okay.
So I think that Pxie was doing an okay job on this and that she wasn't being overly combative, but she was picking and fighting on every single point she disagreed with. Whereas when I'm on these shows, I'm probably dropping like 60-70% of the argument. Like there are so many more things, but I'm only going to pick out the things that I think are the most important to fight on, and I'll kind of let a lot of other shit slide.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me narrow in on that. How do you decide which arguments are the most important to focus on?
There's going to be like some, like if somebody's saying some shit like I'm trying to think of something I wouldn't care about. Like bitches like easier jobs or some dumb shit like that. I'm probably not going to fight on something like that because fuck it. Like, am I really going to sit here and try to argue? If it's something, here's what it is. If I feel like I have to lay a whole lot of groundwork to bring you over and I don't have like some slam dunk, I don't have like some huge slam dunk for it, I'm not going to fight it. So if you're going to get into this argument with me over like who has harder jobs, men or women, I'm not about to start that fight. Like I'm not about to try to convince you that like nursing is arguably more stressful than being a physician, which I think might be true, but I'm not going to have that argument on stream where I'm arguing nursing is harder than being a doctor. Doctors are like house, nurses are like losers. That's what the general concept is. I have to lay way too much groundwork to get there. But if somebody's going to fight on something like who's more rational or logical, like men or women, right? Well, I mean, like in common saying, you know, you've got like the trope of the housewife that's keeping the shit together and the kind of the ditzy dumb husband. That was a really common trope. You've got like behind every great man, there's a woman. You've got the idea that like men get so emotional and angry that they kill each other, which was something that they'd admitted earlier. Like if who's more likely to kill a man or another man? I think there are things you can point to say like, well, I think everybody has emotional outbursts. I don't think anybody's like hyper rational. I think it's kind of like a myth. Like I might fight a little bit more on that point because it's an immediate point that I can like appeal to with some things that they are going to agree with. And yeah, I don't have to lay a bunch of groundwork to have that argument. Yeah, those are the kinds of things I try to pick out, I think.
Okay. So like the most fundamental things. So then if you were walking somebody along the like logic argument, you would basically focus on like things that are like very easily biteable for the other side that are like self-evidently true, like violent statistics against men.
Basically, the more I disagree with somebody, the lower the grade level of the conversation. If I come in and somebody's like, oh, like I'm like a rural utilitarian who's an atheist and I have strong disagreements with you over like the specificities of like social libertarianism versus social democracy or whatever, we're probably gonna have this is like a high level discussion because we have a high level of agreement. So we're gonna get into the finer points and everything. If somebody comes in and like, I don't think women should be able to vote, we're gonna have a second grader conversation. And I'm gonna say, maybe it's better that women can vote so they don't kill us. And when they get angry, right? That's the further away you are ideologically from somebody, the simpler the conversation has to be. Because one, you could run into a whole bunch of trigger words. If you say toxicity, if you say feminism, if you say any of these words, they're gonna be triggered out of their mind. And two, because you're coming from so far away, they already have a hugely fundamental distrust of you. So you're like, you seem alien anytime you're going to push against something they believe in, I think.
Right. Do you try to like bite bullets and then like find common ground as quickly as possible before you go into like pushing back? Or like when do you try to like time different like biting bullets versus like common ground? Because I think like that's like some of the best things you could do for rapport, which I saw towards Erin did a couple of those really well with Sneako when they were like getting dangerously close to the race realist argument stuff. Which I think is good. Like, I think it rebuilds rapport, it diffuses things, it slows things down. Do you typically use that as a diffuser, or when do you time these things?
For a diffuser, I think I'm generally looking to surprise the audience by vibing really hard on something that they wouldn't expect me to vibe with. So if I come in as like a screaming feminazi, which is largely ideologically where I'm at, like I'm gonna try to crack a joke about how women are fucking insane because it's something you wouldn't expect somebody like me to say. I can probably say it in a funny way, so it looks like I'm having a good time, and it feels like you can earn my trust a little bit more because I'm at least appealing to something that you think is immediately true, right? Like if I make a joke, like if we're talking about like, are you really gonna have like 2 or 3 wives at once? I'm not coming at this from like the argument of like, I think that's disrespectful to women, blah, 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 blah. It'll be like, I've been married for 1 year already and I want to fucking kill myself. How the fuck could you handle 2 women in the household at once, right? Because it's funny, it's a joke. People see you kind of like laughing along, but you're kind of pushing your ideology, but you're like having a good time and you're like making a joke in an area they wouldn't expect. Like these are like kind of like, there's a ton of like little bridge building things like this that I'll try to, if I feel like I can build on an argument, if we have a point of mutual agreement and they don't know it, but we do, I'll try to build on their argument. If they start saying something like, oh, like, well, I think that society isn't built perfectly for men, like, I'll agree, yeah, of course, and then I'll get into feminist talking points without them realizing it. Yeah, I agree, it's not built for men. Like, men get fucked when it comes to things like PTSD and going overseas and, like, not being able to even talk to a therapist without getting, like, banned from, like, owning a firearm in some states with red flag laws. Like, I'll hit on things like that where it's like, oh, shit, he agrees with all these points, and then I'll find something later on to fight on, basically. My goal is, like, I want to be as friendly towards you as possible. I want to build as much of a relationship as possible on common ground before pushing on things that I think are important to push back against, that are easy to push back against.
Yeah, probably in a lot of ways by cracking those jokes and stuff as well. It shatters because like people so quickly want to categorize you into like groups and then like only hear your arguments from within that group that they've like assigned you to, that like probably by you cracking those necessary jokes, it immediately like shatters their illusion that like you're just this type of ideologue.
Yeah.
And then they have to like, they're forced necessarily because they like you more to like engage with what you're actually saying versus what they think you're saying.
Basically, yeah. And that's always the goal. And that was, I think, even though Pxie maintained a respectful tone the entire time, generally, the problem was she was pushing on every single point, and it didn't look like the only agreements that she got with Myron was when Myron like dragged her there kicking and screaming. Like after it would be like 15 minutes, you'd be like, well, we agree on this. And you'd be like, well, yeah, I'm not arguing that, but it feels like you were, because it feels like you're pushing on every single point. Even if you're being respectful, it's like, yeah, I would expect her to push on every single point because she's a screaming feminazi, right? That's like what the audience expects, and that's more or less what happened. And it didn't look like there was any vibing or joking along with things that would like shatter that illusion, right? It's like, this person doesn't surprise me at all. They just seem like a screeching feminist, you know?
Yeah. I also think like one area that like really fucked them was derailing into like the sex work argument, because I think like there's an argument to be made there, but it's kind of like you said, there's so much groundwork that you're going to have to talk about, like what does harder mean? What are we talking about when we're talking about psychological stress? What are the specific psychological stressors that like sex workers uniquely are going through? And let's be honest, things that these types of men are going to care about, which most of them aren't going to give a flying fuck about any of this. So it's like,
the only way, if you want to do things like that, it's really good to memorize zingers. Like that's Like, yeah, like that's all you can do. Like, if you want to bring up sex work and those girls start talking about their OnlyFans, like the first thing you need to ask is like, how many little boys are being trafficked out of Romania as opposed to little girls? When FBI does these big busts, how many men are they pulling out of these brothels compared to women? How many men are getting raped and left with children versus women? Like, you have to be able to like lean in. You have to go really hard on points like that. You can't fight over like OnlyFans or some shit. You're gonna get fucking destroyed.
Or
you have to have big,
polls,
or stripper poles. Yeah, you can't be arguing about how hard it is to get up on a pole. You have to be arguing about how hard it is to be torn away from your rural family and then fucked when you're 15 years old, given a kid, and then having to go back to that family and then send remittances and then go back into sex slavery just to get your kid back. Right? That you got to lean into heavy shit like that. But yeah, these are some of these arguments are practiced, but yeah, you can never get down in the weeds and like some dumb shit like the stripper pole thing. That was a really, really, really bad. Yeah.
Yeah, it was super, super unfortunate because especially like when I'm looking at this, especially because I know that I'm not as skillful, like I would basically, the sex work line that you went to, it makes sense. I would basically avoid it because I mostly, when I'm like making different arguments, I want to appeal to like the other person's worldview as much as possible, and then like take their worldview in the direction that I wanted to go, which is why I would just never go into sex work.
Yeah, I don't think it's relevant as much to that argument. Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah. Any other thoughts or feedback you had on their performance? I watched like the last 20 minutes, and then like the first hour.
I don't know. I watched the whole thing. I think that was just my general contention. It was Erin came off as like very contradictory, like wanting to fight on every point, and then you have to. I've said this before. You really have to earn your insults, or you really have to earn your snark. Like that's stuff that comes after you've gotten the respect of the audience. If you feel like you're on the back foot rhetorically and then you start being snarky, it's like a really tough combination of traits. You're going to become like so unbelievably unlikable to the audience, I think. You have to be really
nobody likes somebody who's smug and wrong at the
yeah,
same
that's
time.
the feeling, yeah. Whereas like if you've been joking around a little bit more, you've got some respect on some points, you can be like a little bit smug on some things. But like those moments, you have to feel out like the earning of those moments rather than just going for them, because you're going to come off as like insanely combative otherwise.
But it was really unfortunate because there was a number of like optical wins that Myron had specifically with them as well, where he's like telling the other girls to stop calling them bitches and like kind of de-escalating things for them, which I think in like every way just like made Myron's side look much stronger, because it's like not only am I like trying to protect you and your side and like let you get your say out, but I'm also like kind of constantly like winning in the debate as well. Yeah. Did you do any prep with them?
I mean, we spoke a little bit, but it was the reality is that navigating these things is a combination of like its experience and I don't want to say something as gay as charisma, but it's like this is like a very much a practiced conversational navigation thing that it like has to be learned and practiced and done. Like you're not going to read a guidebook on how to go into like a fresh and fit room when half the girls there are turned against you. You're already massive outsiders, and one host is seemingly indifferent, doesn't like you, and the other host is like a master conversationalist / debater who also runs the show. Like that's just a really tough environment for anybody to be put into.
Yeah, I mean, even like I was thinking about like what it was like when I was sitting there and they're getting all the girls prepped, especially like their entire stream is labeled with feminists. So obviously they had some idea of who these girls were. Did you connect Pxie and them, or what was that end? If you're comfortable sharing, obviously.
Yeah, no, I think that Erin came over to visit Pxie, and Pxie and Erin were up, and they said they wanted to come hang out, and then they asked me if they could debate Sneako, and then I messaged Sneako and asked if he was interested. They went to his house, and then Sneako's the one connected to Fresh and Fit, so.
Okay, so it was like the Sneako was the end. I was wondering where the label that the podcast had of with feminists came from, so. So like in every way, not only were they coming in as like a force that they knew that they were going to be opposed to, but they were also like labeled as like the opposition, which is like super, super intimidating. Plus when they like sit you down and get you like prepped, like they're really, really intense, and like they take away your phones, and they're like very like, here are all the rules and we'll fucking kick you and we're not afraid to, and if you're women, so shut down and be quiet and listen. It's very, very intense.
It was also hard for them too because they had two massive Tate Dick writers there too. That Xena girl, I've talked with her a little bit off after like at
Which one's Xena? Was that the stripper? The pole dancer?
Yeah, and she is like, I remember we were at a table and I was arguing with Sneako and Myron the last time I went on afterwards, and she like out of nowhere she was like, I think that Andrew Tate is innocent. That kind of man, I've met him, he would never do this, blah blah blah. And I'm like, holy shit. And as soon as I saw her on the show, then I was like, oof. And she's also like,
spicy.
yeah, very
Is that
quick,
the-
very
Yeah,
nasty, like
definitely
very
quick.
like
The one,
pointed.
the one on the left in the middle of the three? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Dude, she's got good energy, bro.
Yeah,
She's
she
a
does.
firecracker.
No, she
She's
seems like
very
it would be a
charismatic.
fun talk, yeah, because she's like, oof, but like, yeah, when you've got like her and Myron like working you from both ends, like, oof, that like, dude, when she jumped up on that stripper pole, I was like, damn, like,
I know.
oh, it's that's
You're like
it's a rough
damn
one.
in so many ways, weren't you?
Yeah, well, no, not even. I was damning like my
Okay.
people
Oh,
getting
come on.
destroyed.
She's a
Okay.
beautiful woman,
Yeah.
okay?
So wholesome, so
I
wholesome.
am wholesome.
I
thank
feel
you.
like the roughest part that I see is like they were like kind of like what you were saying earlier about how they're like, you gotta push him on this, you gotta push him on this, and it's like if you don't bite the right bullets, you get stuck trying to defend an impossible universe.
Mhm.
And I feel
And
like
you don't
women
ever
have
want to
a lot.
be the most demotivating thing is when you're stuck on like some 5-hour fucking thing, and then by the end of it, Myron's like, well, we agree on this already. I don't know why I agree. And they're like, oh yeah, I guess we do agree. And it's like, fuck. It doesn't feel like Myron's moved his position at all, right? So then like that just feels like mega horrible.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I feel like they didn't bite certain bullets that would have.
Like that men work more stressful jobs and more hours.
Oh yeah, a really good,
Yeah.
a really
the
really
hour
good
one
example.
was so bad.
Not only
Oh.
that, but Myron is arguing men are stronger, more rational, more logical, blah 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 blah. And then Sneako brings up the like, if you're calling in somebody a cop, do you want a male cop or a female cop to show? And they because of the framing of the argument, they got baited into arguing that like, well, it doesn't matter if it's a male or female cop. And it's like, bro, I say this a lot when you're having conversations. Myron actually does this. He actually does this out loud, which is really good. Well, I think it's better if you can do it in your head, but it's really good if you can step back from an argument and on the macro look at like, what the fuck am I arguing about right now? And if you're in a situation where you're arguing you'd rather have a female cop come through the door than a male cop, like you've probably lost the plot somewhere. Like, this is stupid.
Right.
This is a game. You already
saying
agree
that,
that
like,
men were stronger than women, right? The response to that should have been like, hold on, you just said that you want to talk about like logical rationality, fucking super intelligent men or whatever. Why the fuck are we talking about cops? Like, that would have been the answer to that. But instead they get baited into arguing over 50-year-old female cop versus 50-year-old male cop. And it's like, oh God, yeah, just like that's not where you want to be.
Yeah. I feel like the most important thing that I've been like learning in this space is like bullets to bite. Do you want to let the dog out for a second?
Sure, yeah.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Like, man, learning to bite the right bullets is like so damn important to like. Otherwise, you're stuck defending like crazy shit where you're like, no, I know women do work less hours across the board, but women work just as hard as men and they pull the same. And it's like, you've already lost it. You have to agree. Yeah, women just don't work as many hours per week. Typically, they typically work like 32 on average. Men work more than that. And then just point to, but why, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Isn't that a failing of our society?
Or even I think that something that needs to be appreciated more, and I haven't gotten to like flesh this out in a debate more, but like men can only work as much as they do because women empower them to do so. Man cannot have a family without a woman willing to take care of the child. If you're a man and you earn $100,000 a year and your wife is staying home taking care of the kids, you earn $50,000 a year and your wife is helping you with the other 50 because without her, you don't have a fucking family. People dramatically discount the female side of the male-female working team there. If you want to work and be single and just fucking live at a house all on your own and not have a family as a man, you can do that. But like, in their world, this is their worldview. Man wants a family and man wants to be able to do that. So women are truly earning that half of the salary that you've got because you couldn't earn it on your own. But you have to, that's a framing you have to work up to and everything.
Yeah, I mean, not only that, right? But it's like women don't choose to work a lot of more dangerous, a lot of more physically demanding jobs that necessarily break down your body, like being a day laborer if you have no education. And then it's like, it's no wonder that men end up being all of the opioid addicts that get addicted to prescription painkillers and yada yada, and all their joints are broken down by the age of like 52 or whatever, because women aren't willing to sacrifice everything in their life, including their communities and their families and their children's like being in a good school and stuff like that for money. And it's like, that's a logical thing to do.
Sure. Yeah, anything else?
No, I don't think so. Yeah. Also, Abba, I didn't pre-watch Destiny's thing. Destiny and I just have the same opinion on a lot of shit, bitch.
True. Which is the right opinion.
Except for your fucking take on online dating recently. Oh my gosh.
What's my take on online dating?
I don't know if you still have this take, so feel free to modify it. I remember you saying something about, what was it on with that older white woman, Jebediah.
Uh-huh.
I think it was on the Jebediah show. You guys were talking about social media, online dating and dating apps, and you were saying that it, like, you mostly
Fuck,
think...
hold on, wait. Fuck, they're calling me. Hold on, shit. I ignored the last one. 1 second. Okay, sorry. Say that again.
Dating apps. Do you still mostly think that dating apps are broadly a good thing for society?
I think they're
feel
good. Yeah, I think they're fine.
Okay. I'm super curious on that. Do you want to get into that, or do you need to go?
I mean, really quickly, the thing is that like without dating apps, I used to shit on dating apps because I think whatever. But after getting more feedback from guys, there's a lot of guys that email like, listen, like without dating apps, I literally have no idea where the fuck I would go. I work a tech job. 99% of my people are fucking men. I'm not in school anymore. I've got like all male friends. Like if it wasn't for dating apps, like I'm realistically never going to a fucking bar. I'm not signing up to some fucking yoga class. Like dating apps like unlock a whole world of women for me to connect to that I'd never been able to before. I never really thought about it that way. And yeah, I don't know. From that perspective, if we don't have like other places to replace like the dating app thing, I think dating apps probably are your best shot as a guy to like actually get access to and meet women. And it's way more likely that it's going to happen through that than you joining like a pottery class and like meeting a woman there or something, I think.
Sure, I do think that like some element of online dating in and of itself can be really good, because it just like now your net, if you're casting your net wide, now you're like potentially like nationally casting your net wide, or at least casting your net into like groups and social spheres that you would just literally never run into even within your own city. The issue for me is that dating apps specifically, like I'm not opposed to online dating by itself. Like a lot of girls I know that I've been talking to have been utilizing like Instagram a lot more often than other dating apps, because
Instagram is
dating
way better because you can see if the guy's a
way
fucking
better.
creep.
Yes, exactly. And this is the issue.
Oh my God.
Dating apps are so awful for both sides, because dating apps force women basically to exclusively select on looks, because they're not going to read your fucking profile, and your profile is fake anyways. It's literally like probably you go into Chat GPT and wrote, how do I have a sexy profile for girls, right? Like you've just stolen it off of something else.
Here's an inkling, here's a feeling that I've had, and it's actually been reinvigorated a million times over, okay? Most of these red pill spaces, the guys are borderline virgin / incel-y. They don't have good relationship takes. They don't have any good advice for women. They don't really know any women. They're not even really fucking. Like, a lot of these guys are just kind of losers, to be honest, when it comes to women. But who they were inspired by, oh my fucking God. If you have a chance, I think it's called God Mode by Tristan Tate. I was going through a bunch of material getting ready for my debates and shit for these guys. Tristan and Andrew absolutely know how women work. Some of the things that Tristan gives for advice on like building an Instagram account, how to message women, like all this shit, it is probably the best advice I've ever heard in my entire life. I'll try to find you that YouTube video later. You should watch it and go through it. Holy shit. Like I fully believe even more that these guys are sex traffickers, because they absolutely know how to run insane game. And some of the tips that they gave were just so fucking good. Like even small things, like Andrew Tate, this came out when he was trying to DM that 15-year-old Romanian girl. But
like
even
the fucking emoji shit?
Yeah, it's a really good idea.
Smart.
It's a good idea. It's a really, because it makes your message.
What does it mean?
Yeah.
What's the cherries mean?
And it makes your message stand
knows?
out. Yeah. The idea of like just like getting pictures, like building up an Instagram so a girl sees like who you are, that you're not fucking creepy. You get pictures of whatever, like all that, like all this stuff that they have. The idea of like not working on Tinder as much, and how Instagram is the preferred material because girls like to look through pictures, all this shit. There's so much good advice on that. Tristan Tate, I think it's called God Mode. It's like 3 parts on YouTube. Highly recommend watching it. Holy shit, these guys know their shit 1,000,000%. But yeah, that's the only good advice I've ever seen. But that video radically redefine like how I think about like men like chasing women online and shit too. Yeah, a lot of girls use Instagram, and I think guys need to get more. Guys need to work on looking pretty, and they need to work on taking good pictures and having like some shit that like makes you look like a decently social, like cool person. Not like you don't even like Lambos and shit, but just don't look like a fucking serial killer locked in your basement.
Have hobby. Yeah,
sure, just anything, just like out with a friend, like out eating, like out at a cool spot or whatever, like pictures that make you look like you're smiling, and not like weird fucking blurry weird pictures or pictures where you like look like a serial killer. None of these. Like I had a guy email me, he's like, what about this? Like I tried to take nice pictures, and it's like him taking a selfie like in like a forest, like alone, and he's like glaring at the camera, and I'm like, bro, you look like you're about to drag somebody out here and do a fucking music video for Kim from Eminem. Like it's fucking insane shit. Like yeah. But anyway, sorry, any final thoughts before we leave?
No, other than I think like social media becoming the new venue for online dating is probably gonna like, I wouldn't be surprised to see like Twitter start doing stuff where people can like connect with locals in their area, but like connecting through their like Twitter, because like goddamn, you want to like learn about a person and their opinions, like you want to see the worst side of somebody, look at their Twitter.
Sure.
And like I feel like that's gonna be the new meta, because girls are just like, girls don't want to go on dates with guys that like, this is why there's only like 20% of women on dating apps are 20% of people on dating apps are women, because it's just like, it's so awful to try to vet, because everyone's got the same like copy pasted thing, and everyone's trying to like swindle you, and you really just have photos to go off of that you can't like tell anything about the guy, because it's like, who knows if that's his favorite song. He probably just picked a song he thought that I would like.
Maybe, yeah.
And it makes you like a tiny fish in an enormous pond, right? If you're dealing with an 80-20 split.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, yeah.
Destiny, what do you think about, so Erudite often gives the advice of going volunteering at co-ed sports. You kind of mentioned pottery classes, but what about volunteering at an animal shelter or a soup kitchen? What do you think about that?
So I thought about this, and I think I changed my mind a little bit. The problem for this is always like, fuck, I can't talk about this too long. Somebody brought up a point, okay? That's actually super true. The most appropriate place to hit on women is everywhere. There is literally no place that is too creepy to hit on women. It can be the gym, it can be a waitress, it can be whatever. The issue isn't the person, it's the approach. The issue isn't the setting. Yeah, because you can flirt with waitresses, you can flirt with a girl at the gym. You just have to know when to back the fuck off and when to stop being a fucking loser. Ironically, Tristan goes over this in his video too. Like, if a girl is like, whatever, like, just leave, work on a better lead. Don't sit there and try shooting your shot so much where the girl doesn't care or whatever. Find people that are interested and then lean into that more. Don't try to like fucking bulldoze your way into somebody that's not interested. My worry when I give advice like, oh, you should go volunteering, or you should go do this or blah, blah, that, is that like, it's actually probably not good if there's a guy who joins like a rock climbing gym or like a yoga class with the sole intention of like finding a female. Like, Absolutely. You're probably going to come off as really fucking creepy. Now, if you find a way to like, if you do this and you enjoy it and you can meet women as a result of it, that's fine. But if you go there with the sole intention of finding a woman, I bet that's going to come out in your behavior, and I bet you're going to come across as really fucking creepy. That'd be my guess.
Absolutely. I think the only thing is like, if you're doing that anywhere except for the bar or the club, everyone's going to think you're creepy, and the only reason they're not going to think you're creepy at the bar or the club is because they're inebriated.
Yeah.
But my goal is people go and join these clubs and then find a hobby that they enjoy anyways, and they stick around
and realize that volunteering is meaningful and gives you a satisfying life
and community.
Maybe. Also, make friends that are women, and make friends, like, talk to your friends' sisters. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how I would say that.
Learn how to just drop a compliment to a woman and not expect anything and fucking walk away. And just get comfortable doing that. Like, literally just try that. Just try it. So that, like, because so many guys will tell me, they'll be like, I promise you, I don't come off desperate. And I'm like, I guarantee you, women can sniff this shit out. Yeah. It's so fucking obvious.
Men can too. Men can too. Desperation is very easy to see on somebody. It's easy to see on women, and it's easy to see on men. It can be as simple as like a woman like giving you a little frowny face when she says goodnight and it took 10 minutes and you didn't respond. Like, it could be something as cute or quick as that, where you get like immediate vibes like, this person is clingy as fuck. You just have to be careful. But okay. I love you guys. Be careful.
Bye. Have fun. Love you too, Dusty.
Be careful.